I'm posting this from a public library terminal in a town I won't name. The clock on the wall says 4:12 a.m. The only other person here is the night clerk, and he's asleep with his head on the desk. I have maybe 20 minutes before the system logs me out, or someone notices I'm not a regular. If you're reading this, assume it's because I didn't make it to the next stop. Assume it's because whatever's happening to me has progressed far enough that I can't type anymore, or think anymore, or pretend I'm still the same person who started writing this. Don't try to find me. Don't try to help. Just read. And if any part of this sounds familiar, if you've ever felt a moment where your own thoughts didn't line up with the voice in your head, stop whatever experiment you're running. Stop the pills. Stop the journal. Stop trying to fix yourself. Because once the split starts, it doesn't heal. It widens. And the other side doesn't forgive being locked away. My name is Henry Carver. I was a clinical psychologist in private practice outside Seattle. Small office in Bellevue. Nice view of the lake if you tilted your head. I specialized in trauma and dissociation. People who felt like pieces of themselves had gone missing. Irony is a cruel teacher. It started with insomnia. Not the kind where you toss and turn. The kind where you wake up at 3:00 a.m. every single night, wide awake, heart calm, mind blank, and realize you've been staring at the ceiling for hours without blinking. I told myself it was stress. New patient load, divorce papers still unsigned in the drawer. Coffee after 6 p.m., easy excuses. Then the bruises appeared. Small ones at first. Finger marks on my upper arms. Not deep. Just enough pressure to leave purple crescents. I checked the bed. No one else slept there. I checked the locks. Deadbolt, chain, window pins. Nothing disturbed. I told myself I must have gripped myself in my sleep. People do stranger things when they're unconscious. I started keeping a voice recorder by the bed. Standard protocol for suspected sleepwalking. The first few nights gave me nothing but static and the occasional creak of the floorboard settling. Then, on the 7th night, I played back the tape and heard breathing that wasn't mine. It wasn't loud, just heavier, deeper, like someone larger lying beside me, exhaling through a throat that wasn't used to being careful. I listened to it 3 times before I deleted the file. Told myself the recorder picked up a neighbor through the thin walls. Rationalization is a hell of a drug. The next morning, I found the first note, handwritten on a post-it stuck to my bathroom mirror. You talk in your sleep. You say things you wouldn't say awake. My handwriting. Same slight leftward lean. Same blue ink I keep in the desk drawer. I tore it up, flushed the pieces, went to work like nothing happened. That afternoon, a patient, mid-30s woman with PTSD, looked at me across the desk and said, "You seem different today, Dr. Carver, angrier." I asked what she meant. She hesitated. "Your voice, it's lower, like you're holding something back." I laughed it off, said I had a cold coming on. She didn't look convinced. That night the recorder caught more. Not just breathing. A voice. Mine, but not mine. Low. Rough. Words slurred like someone drunk on rage. He thinks he's in control. He thinks the door is locked, but I know where he keeps the key. Then, laughter. Short. Wet. The kind that ends in a cough. I played it once. Shut it off. Sat on the floor of my office until sunrise with the lights on. I started locking the bedroom door from the inside. Added a slide bolt to the closet. Told myself it was precaution. Therapists see paranoia every day. We learn to spot it in ourselves, too. The changes were small at first. Clothes in the hamper that smelled like cigarette smoke. I don't smoke. A half-empty bottle of cheap whiskey in the kitchen cabinet. I don't drink hard liquor. Scratches on the inside of my forearms. Not cuts, just long, deliberate drags of fingernails. Mine are short. These were deep enough to scab. I stopped looking in mirrors after I caught my reflection blinking out of sync. 1 second late. Just enough to notice. I told no one. Not my ex, not my sister, not the colleague I sometimes grab coffee with. How do you say, I think there's someone else living in my body, and he's starting to take longer shifts? Instead, I doubled the dose of my own sleep meds. Zolpidem, the kind that usually knocks you out cold. It didn't work. I woke up at 4:47 a.m. standing in the kitchen. Lights off, knife in my right hand, blade resting flat against my left forearm. Not cutting, just resting. I dropped it. It clattered loud enough to wake the downstairs neighbor. I stood there shaking until the sun came up. The next note was on the fridge. You almost let me finish the job. Next time I won't stop at the surface. Still my handwriting, still my ink. But the pressure on the pen was harder. Letters dug into the paper like they were carved. I burned the note in the sink, watched the ashes curl. Then I started researching. Old case files, dissociative identity disorder, fugue states. Nothing fit perfectly. The other guy wasn't a separate personality with his own memories. He was me, but meaner, hungrier, less afraid of consequences. I found an old pharmacology study on a compound I'd read about years ago, a research chemical, never approved, supposed to suppress inhibitory pathways in the prefrontal cortex. Let the shadow self express itself in controlled settings. They called it Serum H7. Street name never caught on because the trials ended badly. Participants reported blackouts, violent urges. One of them carved his own face off in front of a mirror. I still had a contact from grad school who worked in a private pharma lab. I called him, said it was hypothetical, asked if he could get a sample. He laughed, said, "Henry, you sound like shit. You sure you're okay?" I told him I was fine. He sent a small vial anyway, overnight, no questions. Clear liquid, no label. I stared at it for 3 days. Then I drew it up. 1 milliliter, subcutaneous. The sting was immediate. Then warmth. Then nothing. I waited. Went to bed the next morning feeling lighter, calmer. The bruises were gone. The scratches too. I almost laughed with relief. I thought I'd fixed it. I thought the dose had quieted whatever was waking up at night. I was wrong. That night, I didn't wake up at 3 a.m. I woke up at 6:12 p.m. The next evening, in an alley downtown, clothes torn, blood on my knuckles, not mine. A man lying 10 feet away, face swollen, teeth missing. I didn't remember getting there. I didn't remember the fight. But my hands remembered. They flexed like they'd enjoyed it. I ran, ditched my phone in a dumpster, took a bus to Tacoma, checked into a motel under a fake name, locked the door, barricaded it with a chair, sat on the bed, and waited for the next blackout. It came faster this time, only 2 hours. I woke up in the bathroom, mirror smashed, my reflection gone, but shards on the floor spilled out. Letters. I'm not going back inside. I swept them up, cut my palm doing it. The blood tasted like copper and something older. I don't sleep anymore. Not really. I close my eyes and wait for the shift. Sometimes I feel him push, a pressure behind my eyes, a tightening in my jaw, a low chuckle that starts in my chest and isn't mine. Last night he spoke out loud. I was alone in the room. Lights off. He said, "Henry." My voice, but slower, deeper. "You can't keep starving me." I answered back, whispered, "What do you want?" He laughed. "I want out." Pause. Then silence. But the silence wasn't empty. It was waiting. This morning I found a new note. On the pillow beside me. Tonight I don't ask permission. I'm writing this because I can still type with hands that feel like mine. Because the words are still coming out in my voice. But the difference is getting smaller. He won't need to hide. He'll just live, and I'll be the thing locked in the dark, watching through his eyes, screaming in a voice no one can hear. If you're reading this and you've ever felt a moment where anger came too fast, or a thought that wasn't yours slipped in, or you woke up somewhere you didn't remember going, don't experiment. Don't dose. Don't try to meet the other half. Because he doesn't want to meet you. He wants to replace you. And once he does, there is no going back. I'm going to hit send now. Then I'm going to walk outside, into the rain, and wait, because he's coming. And this time, I don't think I'll fight him, because fighting only makes him stronger. And I'm tired, so tired. If you see a man who looks like me but moves wrong, runs his tongue over his teeth like he's tasting something new, smiles too wide when no one's told a joke, walk away. Don't speak. Don't make eye contact. Because if he knows your name, he already has a key. And he already turning it. The rain hit the motel parking lot in sheets. I stood under the overhang for maybe 5 minutes, letting it soak through my jacket, my shoes, my skin. The cold felt good, sharp, like it might wake up whatever part of me was still Henry Carver, still me. I walked. No destination. Just away from the room. Past the vending machines that hadn't worked in years. Past the dumpster that smelled like wet cardboard and rot. Toward the main road, where semis hissed by every few minutes, headlights cutting white tunnels through the dark. A gas station glowed about half a mile down. I headed for it. Thought maybe I'd buy coffee. Thought maybe I'd call someone. Thought maybe I'd turn myself in for whatever happened in that alley back in Seattle. But mostly, I just needed to keep moving, so the pressure behind my eyes didn't build too fast. The bell above the door jingled when I went in. The clerk, late 50s, gray ponytail, name tag said Ron, looked up from his phone long enough to nod. I went to the coffee station, poured the last of the pot into a paper cup. It tasted like burnt rubber. I drank it anyway. I paid with the last 20 I had. Ron gave me change without counting it. I asked if he had a payphone. He pointed behind the building, around back. Still works. Coins only. I found it bolted to the brick wall next to the ice machine. The receiver was sticky. I wiped it on my sleeve. Dropped quarters. Dialed my sister's number in Portland. It rang 6 times. Voicemail. Hey, I said. My voice cracked. It's me. I don't know when I'll call again. Just, if you don't hear from me, don't worry. I'm okay. Sort of. I love you. I hung up before I could say more. The pressure started then, not a headache. Not quite. More like someone pressing thumbs into the base of my skull from the inside. Slow. Steady. Testing. I leaned my forehead against the cold brick. Breathed through my mouth. Stop, I whispered. The pressure eased for a second. Then it laughed. Not out loud. Inside my head. A low gravel chuckle that vibrated my teeth. I walked back to the road, started hitchhiking. A pickup stopped after 20 minutes. Older guy, flannel shirt, smelled like pine air freshener and chewing tobacco. Said he was headed to Spokane. I got in. Didn't buckle up. Didn't care. We drove in silence for the first hour. Then he asked, "You all right, buddy? You look like hell." I forced a smile. "Rough week." He nodded. "Seen worse. You running from something?" I looked out the window. Rain streaking sideways. Something like that. He didn't push. Around 2 a.m., he pulled into a rest stop. Said he needed to piss. I stayed in the truck, watched him walk toward the concrete building. Lights flickering inside. That's when the shift happened. Fast this time. No warning blackout. Just handover. 1 second I was staring at the dashboard clock, 2:14. The next I was already moving. I slid behind the wheel. Keys were still in the ignition, engine running. I put it in drive, pulled out slow. No squealing tires, no drama. Just left. The driver came running out of the bathroom as I passed the exit ramp. I saw him in the side mirror, arms waving, mouth open in a shout I couldn't hear over the rain and the engine. I drove for 3 hours straight. No music, no thoughts, just the road and the rhythm of the wipers. When the pressure eased again, I was parked behind a closed diner in Coeur d'Alene. Engine off, hands on the wheel. Knuckles white. There was blood on the steering wheel, not much, a smear. Fresh. I checked my hands, clean. Checked my mouth. Tongue tasted like salt and metal. I opened the glove box, found a pack of cigarettes, lit one with the lighter inside. I don't smoke, never have, but my fingers knew exactly how to do it. I inhaled, coughed, inhaled again. The smoke burned, felt good. I looked in the rearview mirror. My eyes were the same color, but the pupils were wrong, too big, like they'd swallowed the irises. I spoke out loud, to see whose voice would answer. What did you do? My lips moved, but the voice that came out was lower, rougher. Nothing you wouldn't have done if you had the balls. I gripped the wheel harder. You're not real. Laughter again, this time out loud. My throat, my mouth, my laugh, but not. I'm the part you buried, the part you medicated, the part you told patients to integrate. Funny how you never tried it on yourself. I stubbed the cigarette on the dash, left a black burn mark. I can stop this, I said. You already tried. The serum didn't quiet me. It fed me. I felt it then, a ripple under my skin. Not pain, just movement, like muscles remembering how to flex after years of disuse. I got out of the truck, walked around to the back, opened the tailgate. There was a toolbox bolted to the bed. I opened it. Hammer, screwdriver, box cutter. I took the box cutter, held it against my left forearm. The blade hovered. I could feel him pushing, wanting me to press. I dropped it instead. It clattered on the asphalt. I walked away from the truck, left the keys in it, left the door open, started walking again. Dawn came gray and wet. I found a bus station, bought a ticket north with the last of the change from the gas station. Sat in the back row, hood up, watched people get on and off. A woman sat across the aisle, mid-40s, tired eyes. She looked at me once, looked away fast. I wondered what she saw. At the next stop, I got off, found a library. This one, same routine, guest pass, terminal in the corner. Typing, waiting for the next shift. It's coming soon. I can feel the pressure building again. Behind the eyes, in the jaw, in the hands. This time I don't think I'll wake up on the other side. This time I think he'll stay. He'll walk out of here wearing my face. He'll go back to Bellevue. He'll sit in my office. He'll listen to patients. He'll nod. He'll prescribe. And when they leave, he'll smile the way I never did. Wide, satisfied, because he finally has a body that fits, and a life he doesn't have to hide in. If you ever go to a therapist in the Seattle area, if he seems a little different, a little colder, a little too understanding, leave. Don't book the next appointment. Don't shake his hand. Because if he knows your secrets, if he knows what you're most afraid of, he'll use it. Not to help, to feed. I'm out of time. The letters are starting to blur. My fingers feel thick, heavy, not mine. If this posts, remember the warning. Don't let anyone tell you to meet your shadow, because the shadow doesn't want to meet you. It wants your place at the table, and once it's sitting there, poised,